Today we're talking about a fragrance from Bottega Veneta. So today we have a fragrance from Bottega Veneta. It is part of their Parco collection, which is their luxury line, and this is what the bottle looks like. I mean, absolutely gorgeous. It is very heavy. It is very expensive and premium feeling overall. Your lid does have the quilted Bottega feature. If you're not familiar with the brand of Bottega Veneta, they're very much known for having this quilt pattern put into their actual like handbags, shoes. They've been around for a while. The name actually means Venetian leather goods store, I think. I think that's what it means. I could be wrong. But this is what the fragrance looks like. So Bottega Veneta actually makes some pretty solid fragrances. They make a couple that are women's, and I believe they have one or two that are male fragrances or male targeted. They have a really nice sense of smell to them overall. I really do actually appreciate them and like them. And this line itself has actually been discontinued. However, it's very easy to find online still. It might still be available in Europe. I'm not sure if it's just discontinued here in the States or if it's still available in Europe. But this fragrance overall is very nice. This range overall is a range that I've actually been looking at and eyeballing for a long time. I also did do a poll online and asked you guys what fragrances you were interested in seeing on this channel. I know a lot of people have selected Yves Saint Laurent, and we are working on that, you know. It takes a bit to get to all these fragrances, and doing research for this channel, let me just tell you that I have discovered brands that I have not ever heard of. I have discovered lines of, you know, fashion labels that I have not ever heard of. Like, I did not know that Moncler, which is that big puffy coat trendy brand, I mean, it's been around for a while, but they just became really trendy recently, has a private line, and they sound like they're actually fairly solid and fairly good. Their bottles are kind of ugly and boring, but besides the point. And, you know, other brands like La Perla, the famous, you know, lingerie company, they also make a private line of fragrances that are $340, which they also come in 120 ml bottles, which I'm not sure why they did 20 extra mils, but long story short, there are so many brands to actually knock out here. When I started this channel, my goal was to really be able to search something and find it because, you know, if you are into fashion, which I am into fashion, and there are a lot of designer brands that have these quote unquote luxury brands, and I wanted to be able to review them and actually tell people before they buy it, is it worth it, is it not, so on and so forth. But long story short, we do have here, like I said, the Bottega Veneta fragrance. This is their rose fragrance. This is part of the Parco Palladiano collection, so very beautiful looking bottle. Like I said, very solid, very heavy. The top is not magnetic, so just so you know that, you can actually pop it off, and when you pop it off, you know, it's pressurized in. It's not as hard to get in like an Acqua di Parma fragrance would be, but it is snug and pretty secure, so you can carry it from the top. So just so you know, I got mine on a discounter site, and I actually found it as a tester. I didn't know it was a tester when I ordered it actually, but this is what the box looks like if you are curious at all. It is a tester box, so plain white box. Typically the boxes will come in something that matches the bottle itself, so they don't look very sturdy, and I will say that this brand is manufactured by Coty, and with all due respect, Coty doesn't have the biggest track record when it comes to high quality fragrances. As of recently, they've kind of changed that a little bit. You know, we do have quite a bit of other brands that are actually manufactured through Coty, such as Gucci, Burberry's, you know, signature line. So they have gotten a little bit better. This fragrance is from 2016, which is back in the day when Coty only manufactured things like Calvin Klein and Chloe and Marc Jacobs. So this fragrance does have the quality. It does have some pretty good longevity and performance, I will say that. And this fragrance is one of those that lasts all day, all night without being overwhelming. And I really like that about this fragrance, because when you first spray this on, I will say that the fragrance overall is a fragrance that you're like, meh, rose water. And you're like, why did I spend this much money on this fragrance? Because I believe they were around $300 US retail for each bottle. I could be wrong, it's hard to say because there is nowhere on the US that has this fragrance listed for sale, but yes, they were fairly pricey bottles of fragrances. Not as bad as other brands, but they are pretty high up in price. All of the Bottega fragrances are a little bit more expensive, and they have this very soft, soapy subtleness to them. And I feel like this runs through the entire brand. If you're interested in me reviewing some of the other brands, such as Not and the Bottega fragrances, let me know down in the comments. I don't know if there's a big audience for that or if there's not, but yes, this fragrance has that soapy, soft, supple feel to it that all of the Bottega Veneta fragrances do have. Notes in this fragrance are going to be peony, sandalwood, rose, cedarwood, and cinnamon. So very nice, kind of basic notes, if you will. The thing about this fragrance is that it starts off as rose water, wet, jammy rose, and then it starts to dissipate into a creamy sandalwood enveloped in peonies, and then it goes into that cedarness, and then it has a kick of cinnamon. It's not very much, but it's there. And the thing about this fragrance is that it starts to really just linger there and become a soft, subtle fragrance. And that wet, jammy rose is kind of like a spicy rose that's very softly diffused and kind of powdery in the background. It's really well done. I cannot emphasize how hard it is to manufacture and make a fragrance that's rose and still make it exciting, and still make it new, still make it relevant. So this fragrance is modern, it is clean, it is fresh. It is your traditional rose when you first spray it on. So hear me out. If you do get this fragrance and you spray it on, you're gonna be like, yeah, he didn't know what the fuck he was talking about. But as you start to wear it, you will start to see, oh, wait, hold on, is that me that I'm smelling? And then you'll start to smell yourself and you'll be like, this is really good. It is a really nice scent. Like I said, it becomes very soft, supple, kind of soapy-ish with that cinnamon touch, and very creamy with that sandalwood. Done exquisitely well. Chef's kiss, because I really do like this fragrance. I love rose overall, so if you're not a rose fan, do beware of that. My partner doesn't like rose fragrances, and they actually did smell this fragrance after it dried down. They're like, oh, that smells really good, because it is one of those that starts off extremely heavy on the rose. And like I said, it's a very wet, jammy type of rose fragrance, but then it starts to change quite a bit into that creamy sandalwood, to that beautiful cedarwood, to those peonies. I really like that they actually picked peonies and roses, because both of those combined together typically make a really nice modern way to approach a rose fragrance, because typically when you see rose in a fragrance and it's just by itself, it can be a little bit overwhelming, and peonies do tend to make it a little bit more supple, more cleaner, because peonies have a more rose-ish type of delicate vibe to them whenever you smell it. If you've ever smelled a peony, you know what I'm talking about. They kind of smell like roses, but they kind of are cleaner, more fresher, more jammy. And that's what's nice about this fragrance, is that you get a jammy, wet rose up top, drying down to a creamy sandalwood with a beautiful, soft, and supple elegance to it. So I would certainly say that this is more geared towards the feminine audience, but I've been wearing this nonstop because it is very versatile. I do like rose though, and if you are a gentleman that does not like rose fragrances, I would say to steer clear of this fragrance overall. But if you want a fragrance that you can layer over top with something else, something that's gonna have some rose in it, something that's gonna have some sandalwood in it, peonies in it, then I would certainly say to check this one out, because you can layer it over top. It does have really nice longevity and performance. Your longevity and performance are probably gonna be anywhere from 6 to 7 or even 8 to 9 hours. So I will say that it does come more alive when it comes to hotter weather. I did notice that. I did wear it one day inside with AC, and it did last a little bit. It was long wearing and it had some longevity and projection. But as soon as I went outside is when this fragrance came alive. It's like the rose just started to perforate through the air and just really choke everyone out in the room. You know, I got sued for choking everyone at my local Target. So yeah, joking, it's nothing like that. But yes, I will say that I do recommend this fragrance. This one myself I would purchase again. It is a really nice fragrance. It's probably one of my top favorite rose fragrances, and that's saying a lot because I have quite a bit of rose fragrances, and I find this to be a lot easier to wear than other things like Rose Prick, Rose de Russie, Café Rose, Rose de Vence by Louis Vuitton, or La Colette Noire by Dior. This one itself is easier to wear than all of those, but it has some different facets to it which make it a little bit more interesting. You know, there's that creaminess to it, there's that jammy rose to it, there's that woodiness to it. There is a lot of things that make this a little bit more exciting than your traditional rose fragrance. So because of that, I would say to check this one out if you are a rose fan. I don't think you'll be disappointed whatsoever. I did get mine on fragrancebuy.ca. Not sponsored, but I should be. I'm joking. But no, really, I'm not sponsored. But yeah, I got it on that website, and you can usually find some pretty good deals on that site. They do ship to the US. If you are anywhere else, I'm sorry, I don't know if they ship. Thanks so much for tuning in, you guys. Let me know your thoughts on this fragrance down below. Make sure to give the video a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more fragrance related content. And I hope to see you on the next video. Bye.